Ang challenge kasi with MBA, mas maganda meron kang meron kang entrepreneurial background. In my opinion, meron kang entrepreneurial background kasi MBA teaches you how to be a good manager. So if you start with an MBA, wala kang business, you become a good manager.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Leadership Stack Podcast, the podcast for entrepreneurs by entrepreneurs to increase your leadership, teamwork, and profits. This is your host, Sean C., aka Mr. CEO at 22. Next question is, what are the advantages and disadvantages of starting up at an early age compared to starting up later in life?
Maybe you should answer that first, Mr. CEO at 22.
Okay. Starting up early, the advantages, for me, this is my opinion, don't have a lot of risks that are hinged on your back. You're not thinking of, paano na if this fails? Paano na yung wife or yung kids ko? Because if you start up early, you don't have wife and kids yet, assuming you're just having to take care of yourself, like I did when I started. Those risks are not hanging on my head because it's risky enough to start a business. It's risky enough. Even if you know your stuff, it's still risky enough because you're going to put your money on the line, your name on the line, your brand on the line, and you are going to sooner or later have to hire people, maybe rent an office. There are expenses that you have to pay, and emergencies happen. There are some things that might not be something na inaasahan mo, tapos mangyayari siya. And do you have to pay for emergencies? Yes, you have to pay for emergencies. So it's risky enough. But when you start early, I think that's the biggest advantage because you learn a lot. You can make mistakes because your risk is not that big in terms of people who you have to take care of. When you start up later, that's the biggest disadvantage. Now, advantage in starting later. So my if statement tayo, if you're intentional in evaluating your experiences when you were younger, then starting up later will almost guarantee success. Almost guarantee. You have a lot more chances of making sure that your business is successful if you intentionally evaluate your experiences. If not, it's still no advantage to you starting up early. Now, that's my opinion.
Kasi pag nag-start ka ng early, marami kang matututunan. And the earlier, the better. Sa age, here's also the flip side. You won't be too young or too old enough. You'll never be the right age unless you just really do it. Kasi kahit na anong gawin mo, sabihan ka ng bata, ay bata ka pa eh. Ako, I know I look 32, but I'm 42 now. And hanggang ngayon, sinasabihan pa rin ako ng mga tao na bata ako. 45, bata pa rin ako. Pagdating ko ng 50, I'm too old already. So, 55, 60. I mean, Colonel Sanders of KFC started like 65. And yung iba, a lot earlier, a lot older. One thing that I actually read it somewhere, this guy is speaking in an event, and his topic was about success. And he was asked the question, so what is the most important thing that you will teach my child about success? If it's just one thing. Sumagot siya, I will teach your child how to fail. What? But this is a success seminar. Yes, but they will fail and might as well teach them early on. So sa buhay kasi meron tayong 3 kinds of experiences na dapat magawa natin. Una, be an entrepreneur. Pangalawa, be an employee. Pangatlo is join a non-profit. This is not a formula kasi I think hindi ko alam kung si Sean naging employee, no? Hindi siya formula, pero yung 3 experiences na yon would help us. Kasi pag nag-start ka ng business, whether maliit lang yan, whether fishball or maliit ang fishball, pero yung fishball my wife graduated from USC, yung nagbebenta ng fishball doon, napag-aral niya lahat ng mga anak niya, napagtayo ng bahay dahil sa fishball. So, kahit yung mga maliliit lang, ma-experience mo siya, paano mag-handle ng pera, in and out ng pera. Tapos yung pagiging empleyado, kasi sometimes it's difficult to lead if you haven't experienced being an employee or hindi mo na experience being under someone. And then yung pangatlo naman is join a nonprofit. That's how you build leadership. Let's say nag-start ka sa church, nag-church ka, mag-volunteer ka doon. Kasi pag naging volunteer ka ng church, hindi ka susundan ng mga tao dahil hindi mo naman sila sinesweldohan. Hindi sila susunod sa'yo because of that. They will follow you because of your influence. Nag-ano kami before, no? I go to Victory, and this was in the early 2000s. When I joined there, we were like a few ushers. Tapos, nag-set kami ng isang event. Ang dumating dun sa event, 5 tao out of more than 200 ushers. 5 tao. So sabi ko, I think we have a problem here. Kasi leadership Yung ginawa namin after 2 months, binuild namin yung relationship sa mga tao. And then, nag-event kami. Ang dumating na ngayon, 80. Tapos after that, dumami ng dumami. Tapos, yung time na yun, merong isang well-known actor na nag-join ng ushering. From 200, naging 400 kami. But that's another story. But, you see, yung leadership skills mo, nagagamit mo siya. And then, you will be able to use that wherever you go. So those are the 3 things that you should consider experiencing.
So I'm going to jump on another person asking, and the question is, what are your thoughts of getting further studies, like an MBA or master's degree? Do you think it's still important for an entrepreneur? This is by Cedric Choa.
As long as you're doing it for the right reasons. Kasi madaming mga nagtitake ng MBA for the wrong reasons. They think that it will add more credibility sa kanila. But if you're doing it to really learn and to upgrade, enhance yourself, yeah, there's nothing wrong with it. You can pursue it. Ang challenge kasi with MBA, mas maganda meron kang meron kang entrepreneurial background. In my opinion, meron kang entrepreneurial background kasi MBA teaches you how to be a good manager. So if you start with an MBA, wala kang business, you become a good manager. But if you're an entrepreneur, then you get an MBA, now you have a business, and then now you become a better manager, or you have an idea how to scale your business. Then it would be parang 2 sides of a coin that you will fill. Kasi may mga kilala ko yung ganun mga tao, yung ang galing sa mag-manage, ba? Kikita nila lahat ng mga dapat mong gawin. Pero if you ask them to start a business, they can't do it. They won't be able to do it. And then you meet an entrepreneur na walang capital, walang managerial, walang alam sa management and those stuff. Pero biglang after a week may negosyo na kakagawa ng paraan. So yung street smarts and book smarts and also the competency. Yeah. This is from the E-Myth Mastery. I forgot the title. He shared there the 3 qualities of an entrepreneur. So he mentioned the entrepreneur, the manager, and the technician. So the technicians are those who does the dirty work. You do yung ginagawa mo yung labor, hands-on. Manager naman is the one who creates the system. The entrepreneur naman is the one who has the vision, who sees the future and find ways to get there. May mga entrepreneur yung magaling sila sa yung lang na yon, quality, being an entrepreneur. The majority of them are technicians, but they're not managerial. Meron naman iba managerial lang, pero walang vision pagdating sa business. So yun yung kailangan natin iuwi. Kasi sa totoo lang, MBA is good, but there are millions of people who has an MBA degree. So if you're just looking at it to add credibility, yeah.
Galing, that's a really good answer. And it's true, I do agree with you 100% with managerial. Managers are people who are good in creating systems and also maintaining status quo or improving it. It's difficult for them to maintain or improve a status quo if there's no status quo. And that's why it's difficult for some managers to be entrepreneurs. And then as an entrepreneur myself, I also find it not my sweet spot to manage people or to create process documents, maintain the status quo or improve it. I'm not a good manager. I may be a good leader. I may be good in disturbing the status quo, and that's why I have some clashes with my siblings sometimes because they're great managers, and when I come in the team, medyo sinasabihan ako na lumabas ka dito, umalis ka dito, no? So I'm too disruptive, and getting an MBA might help with that if you want to improve your managerial skills. But yeah, very good answer.
I'll add na, Sean, babalansehin ko lang yung sagot ko. Kaya ko siya sinishare, no? Yung maganda, may business ka na or you're more entrepreneurial. One of my relatives who owns a huge business, yung kausap ko yung relative na yun pag may mga occasions kami, may family occasions kami. Okay, ganda ng conversations namin, business parate. And then after he took an MBA, nakita din niya how to manage his business better. So creating the systems, and it also allowed him to establish mga contacts. So for him it worked out dahil yung motives niya, objective niya is to find ways to create a system, especially when it comes to numbers. It helped him. So there are pros and cons din pagdating diyan. Siguro pwedeng example, pag nagda-drive ka ng kotse. For me lang. This is my opinion, Parang nagda-drive ng kotse. Kung drive ka ng kotse, kung nag-aral ka ng driving class, then okay yun kasi nakakapag-drive ka ng car. Pero pag nag-driving class ka pero wala ka namang kotse, makakalimutan mo yung paano mag-drive. And then you will tell people how to run their business without really understanding how they've set up the business. Di ba maraming mga consultants na ganyan, yung magaling. Pero hindi na nakikita na, ikaw nga mag-start ka ng ganyan, kaya mo ba?
Yeah, that's true. Agree.
This episode is partnered up with Armory.ph. Armory is an online watch store and is the exclusive distributor of the brands TW Steel, Dion Milano, Fonderia, Luminox, and Mondane in the Philippines. Yes, folks, those are Italian watch brands. If you are looking to buy your next go-to luxurious everyday watch, go to Armory.ph and enter the coupon code LS30. Armory.ph delivers straight to your doorstep with a security tape to make sure that your package is safe from theft, arrives on time, and is guaranteed working 100%. Go to Armory.ph and buy your first luxury watch today.
We don't want everyone to like us, but we want everyone to know us. And it's knowing what we're doing. So if you're in a marketing strategy, you want everyone to see you. But if you're selling, you want to be talking to people that you can help.